In a world where the average person spends over 6.5 hours a day staring at screens, a staggering statistic that has only ballooned since 2019, driven by remote work and endless scrolling, a seemingly virtuous counter-movement has emerged: the digital detox. We see influencers glorifying off-grid living, tech moguls preaching screen limits for their own children, and wellness gurus urging us to disconnect to reconnect. But is this growing call for a complete digital abstinence truly a path to a better, more present life? Or are we, in our pursuit of a seemingly purer existence, inadvertently trading the complexities and opportunities of real-world engagement for a filtered, often unsustainable fantasy? This narrative will dissect the seductive allure of the digital detox, examining its promised benefits against the undeniable integration of technology into every facet of modern life. We'll explore the data behind our digital habits, the psychological theories that explain both our addiction and our aversion to screens, and ultimately question whether complete disconnection is a viable or even desirable solution in an increasingly interconnected world. We'll delve into case studies of companies experimenting with no-tech policies and individuals attempting radical digital purges, contrasting their reported subjective experiences with objective data on productivity, mental health, and social connection. By the end, you might just find yourself questioning not just how much time you spend online, but why you're logging off at all. Our story begins not with a dramatic tech, but with a quiet, pervasive hum: the constant notification pings, the glow of screens in every public space, the subtle tremor of a phone vibrating in your pocket. This isn't just about entertainment. It's about work, education, communication, commerce, and increasingly, our sense of belonging. The average American professional, for instance, now spends nearly half their workday interacting with digital tools. For students, digital platforms have become the primary conduits for learning, assignments, and peer collaboration. So when the digital detox movement cries out for us to unplug, what exactly are we unplugging from? Is it simply the trivialities of social media, or are we being asked to disengage from the very fabric of modern existence? Proponents of the digital detox paint a compelling picture. Imagine clearer thought, reduced anxiety, deeper sleep, and more meaningful in-person interactions. They cite studies linking excessive screen time to increased rates of depression, anxiety, and even physical ailments like eye strain and poor posture. And undeniably, there's a kernel of truth here. The constant dopamine hits from likes and notifications can create a feedback loop that mimics addiction. The endless comparison culture of social media can fuel feelings of inadequacy. We've all felt the mental fatigue of information overload, but the leap from too much of a good thing can be bad too. All digital engagement is inherently detrimental is a significant one, and it overlooks the incredible benefits and necessities that technology provides. Let's talk data. While anecdotal evidence of digital burnout abounds, the scientific consensus on the causal link between screen time and severe mental health issues is far more nuanced than many digital detox advocates suggest. Multiple longitudinal studies, including some from leading research institutions, have found that moderate screen use, particularly for social connection or educational purposes, can actually have a neutral or even positive impact on well-being. It's the context and content of screen time that matters more than the raw hours. Spending hours doom scrolling through negative news feeds is clearly different from engaging in online learning, collaborating on a work project, or video chatting with family members across continents. Yet, the detox narrative often lumps all digital engagement into one negative category. Consider the practical implications in 2024. If you were to genuinely commit to a full digital detox, no smartphone, no laptop, no internet access, how would you navigate daily life? How would you apply for a job, manage your finances, schedule appointments, or even pay for groceries in an increasingly cashless society? How would you stay informed about global events or maintain relationships with friends and family who live far away? For many, particularly those in professions reliant on digital tools or those without easy access to alternative resources, a complete detox isn't just difficult. It's an economic and social impossibility. This highlights a crucial, yet often unacknowledged, aspect of the digital detox movement. It is, for many, a luxury. It presupposes a level of economic security and access to offline networks that simply isn't available to the majority of the global population. But what about the workplace? Some companies, recognizing the burnout associated with constant connectivity, have experimented with their own versions of digital detoxes. Take, for instance, the no email after hours policies or designated focus time blocks where employees are encouraged to disconnect from internal communication platforms. The intent is noble: to reduce stress and improve work-life balance, and initial reports often laud these initiatives, with employees feeling a sense of relief and improved focus. However, the data reveals a more complex picture. For some, these policies merely shift the burden, leading to longer hours the next day or a feeling of being out of the loop. Productivity, while sometimes appearing to increase in the short term, can plateau or even decline if essential digital tools for collaboration and information sharing are prematurely restricted. The true challenge lies not in eliminating digital tools, but in learning to manage them effectively and fostering a culture of mindful technology use. Then there's the psychological angle. Our brains are wired for connection and information. Social media, in its early iterations, tapped into this fundamental human need. The very design of these platforms, with their endless feeds and notification systems, exploits our innate desire for novelty and validation. This is where the concept of intermittent reinforcement comes into play, the unpredictable reward system that keeps us coming back for more. It's the same psychological principle that underpins gambling. Understanding these mechanisms is crucial, not to shame us for our digital habits, but to empower us to reclaim control. A digital detox in this context can feel like a drastic but necessary intervention, a way to break free from these behavioral traps. But is breaking free the same as achieving true digital well-being? Perhaps a more sustainable approach isn't about complete abstinence, but about conscious consumption. It's about cultivating digital literacy, understanding the tools we use, their impact on our minds, and how to leverage them for positive outcomes rather than falling prey to their manipulative designs. It's about setting boundaries, not just with the technology itself, but with the expectations of constant availability that pervade our digital age. Consider the implications for global audiences. In developing nations, mobile technology often represents the primary, and sometimes only, access to information, education, and economic opportunity. Suggesting a digital detox in such contexts would not only be impractical but potentially detrimental to progress. The digital divide isn't just about access. It's about the very ability to participate in the global economy and information society. For these populations, technology isn't a luxury to be detached from. It's a lifeline. So, where does this leave us with the digital detox delusion? It leaves us with a nuanced understanding that the problem isn't technology itself, but rather our often unexamined relationship with it. The allure of escaping the digital world is understandable, a romanticized notion of returning to a simpler time. But real life, particularly in the 21st century, is digital. Our challenge is not to retreat from it, but to engage with it thoughtfully, critically, and with intention. It's about building resilience to its potential downsides and harnessing its immense power for good. The filtered fantasy of complete disconnection might offer temporary respite, but true presence, true connection, and true productivity in our modern world will inevitably involve a mindful dance with the digital. Perhaps it is time to stop demonizing the screen and start mastering the art of living authentically with it.